Добрий день.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Greeting you again here at Ukraine Media Center. I'd like to remind you that our work has been supported by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. And today we are to have several press briefings about the defense of the capital city of Kiev. If you missed our first briefing, you are welcome to watch it on our YouTube channel. And our speaker there was the first deputy head of Kiev City-State Administration, Mykola Pоворoznik, and you can already see what recording on our YouTube channel. And now I'm to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is the Deputy Chief of Staff of the Land Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Brigadier General Oleksandr Hruzevich, and the topic is defense of Kiev. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you on my own behalf and on behalf of our commander for the work you are doing in our information space. This is a huge support in our joint efforts to destroy the invaders. As you already know, Kyiv is one of the main strategic goals for our enemy. They want to, so to say, decapitate our nation and dictate their conditions, but their plan has failed. Kiev did not surrender as they planned in 3 days due to good leadership and thorough work done not only by the military, but also by all law enforcement agencies and forces, all components of defense forces. And as a result of all that work, we completely destroyed the enemy's plans. Currently, on the right bank of Dnipro River, the enemy has been stopped almost 70 kilometers from here, and it makes it impossible for the enemy to shell other than by rockets, to shell our capital city other than by rockets. On the left bank, they moved forward a bit, but we eliminated that achievement of theirs, but the enemy switched to a different type of tactic. As you can now see, they cynically shell on our infrastructure. They try to say that they target the military infrastructure, but actually they have been destroying residential buildings, kindergartens, and other buildings, not only in Kyiv, but in all cities. Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Mariupol, we see it there. The enemy's plans that we destroyed it not only as the armed forces of Ukraine, but also police was involved, the National Guard, territorial defense, and other volunteer formations, which have been commanded from a single center. Initially, there were some misunderstandings maybe, but now all these territorial defense forces, community forces are under the same concept, and each city and town is prepared to become a resistance center, a resistance hub. Our commander goes around Kyiv and Kiev province every day to check the situation, and we can reassure you that the enemy will not go any further. And all local communities say as one voice that we will not let the enemy go forward. With regard to defense of the capital city of Kyiv, I would like to say that now there has been a group of troops in charge of defense of the capital city of Kyiv and Kyiv Oblast, Kyiv province. As I already said, there are 2 lines of defense, and the enemy has been stopped there, and in some areas like Boryspil direction and Brovary direction, they stopped any attempts to attack. There are some attempts to attack on the left bank of Dnipro River, but again, to no success. Also, as you can see, if you go around Kyiv, positions have been established in the city of Kyiv. Kyiv city has been prepared to become a resistance center of resistance. The same is being done in Kiev province in smaller radius, nearer radius, and at larger distance. Also, there is an efficient, effective system of air defense. For the last couple of days alone, there have been 2 airplanes and 1 helicopter downed, more than 6 rockets. But unfortunately, fragments of those rockets, when we down a rocket, their fragments fall down and they destroy our buildings and our civilian infrastructure. Also, I would like to say that since we created an effective air defense system, still you should not forget about air raid sirens, air raid alerts. You know, God helps him who helps himself, and also we, the military, feel better when civilians are in the shelters, in safe places. So please don't neglect those air signals, air alerts. Next thing I would like to mention is this. The numbers of our manpower, of our troops, due to using territorial defense and other formations, has increased almost by the factor of 3. Now we have been intensively training people to replace people in units who have been actively engaged in combat action, not only in Kyiv, but all across Ukraine. Also, I think we managed to create an effective anti-sabotage framework, anti-sabotage system. In the last 2 days alone, we have found and destroyed more than 10 sabotage groups, their total number being more than 100 people. As you know, they started bringing those groups here since long ago. They were based here, but we find him. We eliminate them, and more than 35 sabotage groups have been eliminated during the whole wartime. I will not provide all the statistics, but I would like to reassure you that the security service and other law enforcement agencies have been carrying out all these actions, and you can see that now there is less shooting heard in our streets. It became more quiet here, and locals can feel it. Also, I would like to say that there have been very good results shown about cooperation between the military authorities and civilian authorities. I would like to thank our mayor, first of all, to thank Vitaly Klitschko. We maintain permanent cooperation with him around the clock. And whenever we have certain needs, whenever we have certain tasks, everything is being done very quickly. And we have never seen that there would be any delay and something would not be delivered and so on. So I really thank our mayor for this, for all this. Also, now there has been a new head of Kyiv Oblast administration, Oleksandr Pavlyuk. As you know, before that, he used to be the commander of the Joint Forces operations. So I think it doesn't need any additional comments. That's the person who knows what to do, and he will do it. And he is now leading that work in Kyiv Oblast, Kyiv province. Everything will be done, and the enemy will not get there. Initially, we could see some shortage of some items, but now we have worked very intensely, and we have broadened our influence, and we have ensured 3 corridors for foodstuffs and medicines to be brought to Kyiv from Western Ukraine, and now we plan to further expand those operations. I think that in the nearest future, in the nearest days, it will be done, and we'll throw the enemy even further away. And at the end of my statement, I would like to say that the armed forces of Ukraine, with all components of defense forces, are ready for any developments in this situation, are ready to carry out their duties. If needed, we'll sacrifice our lives, but the enemy will not go forward. That's basically it. If you have any questions, I am ready to answer them. But, I have to be in some other place because of the current situation, so I don't have much time. So, dear colleagues, literally several questions, and let the general go.
Questions quickly. This is Luis Miquel from Spain, El Mundo. First of all, today the shelling, it seems that the shelling on Lviv was coming from the Black Sea. Why this strategy, and do you have any way to prevent, to stop this kind of attacks from the Black Sea? And the second is, do you see a pattern of bombing not only civilian infrastructures, but civilian people? There is a kind of tactic of terrorizing the people? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. I will answer them. Indeed, now there are two areas where the enemy makes the rocket shelling, from Black Sea and from Belarus. Two key directions, two key areas, be it with cruise missiles from the sea or from strategic bombers. We have developed an effective system, and we have been trying to monitor and to destroy those rockets when they're flying. But you understand that not always this system works, because when the rocket flies at a very low height, it's very difficult to monitor it, to see it. Now we have developed a number of actions, a number of methods which will make it impossible, or will minimize at least the probability of civilians being hit by rockets. Tactics selected by the enemy are about threatening people. They have completely failed with implementing their tasks of so-called blitzkrieg, fast, quick war. So now they have been selected this way of making strong rocket strikes against civilian facilities and all that infrastructure. You know, just as we say in the armed forces, that's trying to get us scared and tired. No close fire contact, just fire from long distance. And in that way, they try to put us to our knees. But now the General Staff and the Armed Forces of Ukraine has developed a number of steps to prevent any further development of this situation and to minimize the losses. Thank you.
Der Spiegel, Germany. Questions regarding the fortification of the city, Kiev, which apparently is the topic of this press briefing. Could you elaborate a bit on how you're going to fortify the city, which parameters, and yeah, I'm not sure how much you can go into detail, but as much as you can. Thank you.
I understand. Thank you for your question. As I already said, we have developed, we have established two key lines of defense. At the same time, we have identified specific places, specific locations where it's quite probable to expect something. All key routes are blocked, and each city, each strategic city or town is prepared to become a resistance hub. We increase both explosive and non-explosive barriers at all routes where the enemy may come. And then it's about tactics. So, you know, I will not go into details, but I can tell you that the the smallest ring of defense is the most intense. The next one is even more defense. And now we have been working to strengthen our third most distance ring circle of defense. And now, due to all these operations, we have managed to stop the enemy. And now we are expanding these operations and throwing them away. As I already said, on the right bank, we have already thrown the enemy away by 70 kilometers. Now they have stopped any attack attempts. They cannot come closer, and the same is being done on the left bank. Thank you. Thank you. Let's ask the last question and let the general go.
We've seen that civilian infrastructure has been attacked. Even today in Podolsky district, we saw the civilian infrastructure being attacked. So does that indicate that the Russian forces are closer and closer? and that's how they're targeting, like how close they are, and what are your plans to push them back in order to keep the civilians safe?
I understand. So currently, the enemy mostly strikes with rockets, and rockets can fly by 500, 600 kilometers or so. So, you know, our main task, our main objective is to reduce their ability to fire with artillery and missiles, reactive artillery. And we have successfully done it. As I already said, we had a small problem on the left bank, but this has also been been completed by almost 100%. Then from closer cities, as you know, there are 3 corridors whereby we evacuate all the civilians to designated areas. And as of today, we have already evacuated, I'm not to repeat the statistics, you know it already, you know how many people have already been evacuated from Irpin, from Bucha, and from other towns and settlements around Kiev. In the next days, very soon, artillery fire from both multiple launch systems and other systems, well, it will happen, but they will not reach Kyiv anymore. It's already been planned, and we do everything to get there. The only thing is, as I already said, it's about anti-rocket defense, and steps have already been taken, and further steps will be taken to avoid further shelling of our capital city and all other towns. Thank you, General. Thank you for finding time and joining us here. Dear friends, dear journalists, I would like to remind you that at 3 p.m. we'll have a briefing with people who managed to evacuate from the hottest areas in Kiev province. So you're all welcome, and thank you for being with us. Thank you again. I'd like to repeat that our Commander-in-Chief also thanks you for your work, or your information work. You help us. Thank you, General. Thank you for attention.